What if I told you there was a man who murdered millions without pulling a single trigger? A leader who weaponized starvation, erased his enemies from history books, and ruled through fear so absolute, even his allies whispered his name in terror. No, this isn't Hitler. It's not Mao. This is someone far more insidious, far more calculating. Welcome to the chilling world of Joseph Stalin, arguably the most ruthless dictator the modern world has ever seen. And by the end of this video, you'll understand how one man's paranoia, propaganda, and thirst for power turned an entire nation into a machine of silence, suspicion, and death. Stalin wasn't born into power. He was born into poverty. A sickly child from Georgia with a violent father and a love for poetry. Yeah, poetry. The guy who would become a mass murderer once wrote romantic verses. But behind that fragile exterior, an ambition that burned like wildfire. He joined Lenin's revolution and quietly played the long game. While others gave fiery speeches, Stalin worked the shadows. He edited newspapers, organized strikes, and stole bank vaults to fund the cause, literally. When the Bolsheviks took power in 1917, Stalin was still in the background, until Lenin died. Ever played a game of Risk and watched the quietest player slowly take over the entire board? Yeah, that was Stalin. Except, instead of a game, it was an entire nation. After Lenin's death, Stalin manipulated party politics like a grandmaster. He outmaneuvered Trotsky, Lenin's chosen heir, and purged him from history, literally. Trotsky's image was removed from official photos. Stalin didn't just beat his rivals, he erased them. Once Stalin had power, he unleashed a reign of terror the world had never seen. First came collectivization. Farmers were forced to give up their land. Resistance was met with bullets, or worse. Entire regions starved to death. The Holodomor in Ukraine alone killed millions, through a famine that was manufactured, not natural. Then came the Great Purge, a national bloodbath. In the late 1930s, Stalin's paranoia reached full throttle. Generals, poets, scientists, even school teachers, accused of treason, tortured, and executed. Over 1.2 million people were arrested, many for crimes that didn't exist. And it wasn't just executions. Stalin built a vast network of gulags, forced labor camps where over 18 million people were sent to freeze, starve, and die in silence. But here's the most chilling part. Even after all this death, Stalin's grip on the people only grew stronger. Why? Because he mastered the one thing that could silence a nation even louder than guns. Stalin controlled not just bodies, but minds. He rewrote textbooks, rewrote newspapers, rewrote entire memories. Children were taught to worship him. Neighbors were encouraged to spy on each other. Fear became a daily ritual. Say the wrong word, even in your sleep, and you could vanish before sunrise. He built a cult of personality so powerful, people wept at his death. Not because they loved him, but because they thought they did. The Soviet Union was no longer a country. It was a stage, and everyone was acting out a play called Obey or Disappear. Imagine living in a world where even your thoughts could betray you. Could you survive that? Could any of us? Stalin died in 1953, ironically, after a stroke that his guards were too afraid to treat immediately. His own fear machine trapped him in the end. His legacy? Over 20 million deaths, countless destroyed families, and a blueprint for authoritarianism still studied today. But here's what makes him truly terrifying. Stalin wasn't mad. He wasn't erratic. He was methodical, cold, and calculating. He didn't kill for chaos. He killed for control. And that, perhaps, is the darkest kind of evil. But Stalin wasn't the only one. He was just one chapter in the global manual of ruthless power. The question is, who wrote the next one? Subscribe now.